Welcome to Q's on the Move. This is a weekly podcast about Omega men that are doing some incredible work in your community with mentoring young males and helping dads to become better fathers so that they can help their children grow and glow into responsible adults. We're so glad that you have joined us on today. My name is Brother Donald Williams II, and I will be your host for this segment of Q's on the Move. I am the proud chairman of the Mighty Second District Fatherhood Initiative and Mentoring Committee, as well as the bosses of New chapter located in Montgomery County, where community engagement and service are our watchwords. We are so excited to provide leadership for this important, meaningful, and impactful work that continues under the 36th District Representative J. Kendall Smalls. And I'm also excited because we have some distinguished Omega men that are leaders, and I call them superstars because they are going far and beyond call of duty, impacting lives across their community. And so you'll hear from them shortly. To connect with Q's on the Move, please call 301 429 9247 or download www.wbgronline.com. Friends, these are some critical times across our country. I'm quite sure you agree with me. We have less than 30 days from an election of our lifetime. My parents reminded me that this election equates to the civil rights days when they were young and now seemingly upon us again. And Omega Psi Phi fraternity and second district is playing a key role across 5 states of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland. And so what I like to do is begin this conversation by having our distinguished men introduce themselves and their titles and what brings you into this conversation. And we'll start with my brother to my left here.
Good night, brothers. How you guys doing today? This is Nick Charles, Brother Nick Charles, 2008 Omicron Gamma chapter from the mighty University of the District of Columbia. So I'd like to thank the brothers for having me on today. I am currently the delegate-elect Democratic nominee for Maryland State Delegate in District 25. And I want to talk a bit about what we can do as brothers across the entire second district so we can make sure we mobilize as many people as possible to make sure that we send a strong message to the White House and what we want to do for our communities.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Brian Champion. I'm from the Gamma Pi chapter here in Prince George's County, Maryland. Also, I'm a co-host of another radio show right here on WBGR, My Brother's Keeper, and we're here today with our brothers. We're just trying to partner, man, and do things together as we're trying to build a community. And so we're here to be supportive and to also just share with you in your dialogue today.
Thank you, my brothers, for joining us on Q's on the Move, this segment. And just want to give you a quick overview. The second district, this midterm election is crucial. And so our mission is simply to mobilize communities across the 5 states. We want to connect with churches. We want to connect with coaches. We want to connect with civil, like-minded organizations to get get voters registered, and 2, take them to the polls. And so that's our mission, 5 states, and we need your help. Brother Nick Charles was a panel guest at the Congressional Black Caucus about 2 weeks ago, and he had a very key important message about super voters, who they are. And so I wanted you to take this time to explain to our new listeners, this new generation, of this process.
Okay, brother. So, super voters, for those who don't know what that is, are individuals who actually vote in a consistent pattern. And you can change the meaning based off of what election cycle. So if you're wanting to see the super voters for the primary elections, then you will pick the folks who voted in the last 2 primary elections. If you want to pick folks that are running in the, that are voting in the general election, then you will pick super voters who voted consistently over the last 2 general elections. Now, when you get these folks, it narrows down for candidates to be able to see who these folks are, so that you can target them in order for them to, for you to get the message for those folks to vote. And they target them because these are the folks that show up on a consistent pattern, and it costs lots and lots of money for candidates to actually get their message out. So to alleviate a lot of the costs, what you end up seeing candidates do is focus in on that consistent pattern so that they can see who votes. What we want to do is make sure that all of our brothers, all of you all that's out there listening right now, actually become those super voters, because that's where our power lies. Our power lies in the ability for us to be able to show across all 5 states that we are a force to be reckoned with. The Qs are a force to be reckoned with, and we have to start with it at home. We have some national initiatives where we have to make sure we get folks registered to vote, but I know within our own chapters, we have folks that do not participate in the voting process, which some of our ancestors have died on the field for, making sure that our folks get the opportunity to vote.
Amen.
So we need to make sure we get brothers to truly participate in this process, because that is where our power lies, once we understand the super voters. Now that gives me a segue into the conversation that we had on the panel for the Congressional Black Caucus. We have members of the NAACP sitting on the panel as well, and because they are a community partner of ours, they are allowing us as a fraternity as a whole to utilize access to their NGP VAN network. Now, the VAN network is a voter action network. This has access to all information across the country of all registered voters, and it tells you exactly if you voted or you did not vote. Now, I've had opportunity to talk to the First Vice Grand and also to the 2nd District First Vice DR about some of the capabilities that this actually has and what it can truly do for the fraternity. So when we spoke, I also spoke to the political action chair for the district as well, so we can start to literally lay out a plan to make us more powerful. So in doing that, what the district is going to probably be moving forward into doing, I can't speak for the district because I'm not on the district council, but what I'm believing they're going to move forward to do is having a state rep for every single state, to make sure we have a political action chair. And then after each state has a rep, they're going to reach out to every single chapter in their state to make sure each chapter has access to the MD VAN through the NAACP. Now, what does this mean for us? An LGG, I'm a member of LGG chapter, financial member. We have one of the largest chapters in the fraternity. This allows our political action chair to dive down and look at our list of all of the members in our chapter, find out which legislative districts they live in, which councilmatic districts they live in, which school board districts they live in, which congressional district they live in, which if they live in a municipality, which municipal districts they live in, so that we can truly target and understand where our power lies. Because when we start to go and ask for things as brothers, this puts us in the position to really get what we ask for. If in Prince George's County, the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated were able to get an Ivy Center built because they utilized their power to actually get legislation passed, to get bond bills, to move forward and actually having a center to do a lot of the services that they do. And I know all of you chapters that are out there listening, you guys are out here working extremely hard for the fraternity and making sure the community is getting those tangible results of what you're doing. So a lot of that costs money. A lot of the stuff that we're doing, the scholarships that we give out annually, the programs that we do, it costs a lot of money. So when you can get help from the state to supplement costs, you can get help from the counties, you can get help from the municipal governments. When you're able to go to the state, able to go to the county, and able to go to the municipal governments to say, we have such and such amount of members, of actual voters, we have actually engaged community members living in your district, That's what gives us that real hard, solid ability to weigh in our strength and our power. And then we can really dictate who we want to get elected into office when we start looking at the state right now. You know, as Brother Williams said, we're coming into a very critical time in the state of Maryland and across the country when we start looking at this upcoming election. So when you look at how many brothers we have, now I was made in the 3rd district. I'm a 3rd district brother, but I'm now a 2nd district financial brother. And Alpha Omega and Kappa Psi and my chapter Omicron Gamma and Delta Theta and Alpha chapter, you got brothers who actually live in Prince George's County, which is in the 2nd district, even though they are 3rd district brothers. So when we're able to look at it across the board and pull all of this information together, we can truly look and say, okay, we have 10,000 brothers in the state of Maryland who are registered to vote, and now we can start putting out statistics and understanding stats to say, out of this 10,000 registered brothers, we actually have 80% of them that are super voters. And then we can push ourselves to get to that 100%. Because it's hard for us to go out there and tell the community to go do something that we're not doing. You know the actual poem of I'd rather see a sermon than to hear one any day. You know, that is something that we have to truly take heed to and make sure that we are moving in a direction to not only tell people, but show people. We have to show people that the Q's mean business and that we're out there. Not just out there doing community service, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that without even blinking an eye. But we need to make sure that we don't miss the train when a lot of these elections are going on. And why is that important this year? Why is that important? Because every 10 years there's a census. Every 10 years there's a census. And when they do a census, they redistrict. And when they redistrict, they're redrawing the lines for congressional districts and for legislative districts. Now, a lot of you have been paying attention to the news, and you've been seeing what's happening in this White House that we have currently. What's happening in this White House, we do not want to make sure this current president and this administration gets more congressional support. So by having a current Republican governor and running the state of Maryland and giving him the ability to get back in office, he has a seat at the table for redistricting. And what that means is that could possibly put us in a position to get 2 or 1 additional Republican congressional seats to give the current president and the current administration the ammunition and everything they need to move any type of crazy legislation across the board. That's right. Why it is up to us, the brothers of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, to do our due diligence, to make sure you get out there and vote. You know, there are so many things you can do. One of the things right now is you can ask for absentee ballot. You can't get out the bed, you can't get out the house, ask for absentee, request your absentee ballot. If you can't do that, if you're not registered to vote, okay, you get registered. Right now, I believe I forgot the last day of registration for Maryland, but we allow you to actually come in during early voting, which is an entire week. So our early voting schedule in Maryland starts October 25th and it goes to November 1st. Our actual election day is on November 6th. But during early voting, you can actually go in, come into the polls during early vote. You can register on site, and then you will get a provisional ballot and be able to vote on the provisional ballot that same exact day. So, brothers, there is no excuse. You're talking about 7 days of early voting and an additional day to vote. There is no excuse whatsoever why we cannot make sure we get 100% participation. You have 7 days, even on the weekends. It's even open on Sundays, brothers. So after you leave church, take 10 members from the congregation to go with you to the polls and make sure you go vote. It is our duty. There's a lot on the line in this country. You see what's happening. You saw what just happened with the Kavanaugh confirmation. There's a lot of things happening in this country, and it's up to all of us, the brothers of Omega Psi Phi, to step up to the table and make sure that we're not accepting any and everything that comes to us. Now, I'm not telling you to vote Democrat or Republican. I'm a registered Democrat. I'm not telling you to choose. But the fact that you just need to be there and engaged in the process to make sure that your questions are being answered, to make sure that your issues are being heard. You have to. It's not just you. It's your families. It's your mother. It's your children. It's the following generation. We're talking about lifting as we climb as brothers. We really need to move in that direction and lift as we climb. So I leave you all with a charge to make sure that you get your line brother, call your chapter bros, and show up to vote, bros. You got 7 days in Maryland. I can't speak for any other state because I'm in Maryland. But you got 7 days and then an additional day for election day. Don't mess this opportunity up, bros. You want to talk about being out? That's out. Be out and vote. All right, Q's.
I like that. I like that. This is next level conversation, family. And so we got Brian Champion, a trustee of Lane College, and he has some. I asked him a question about what are those new ideas that we can do as a community to mobilize our neighborhoods, our churches, our fraternities, and our sororities. So, Brian, I pass you and ask you that same question. You have any ideas of how we can?
Yeah, you know, as we were chatting the other day, one of the things is that, you know, like you just mentioned, we don't go out to vote, but we got to vote. If we don't vote, then we accept whoever gets elected. But just going out to vote ain't enough. We got to get other people to vote. And so we got to help others vote. I had brothers tell me, well, I don't want to vote because the line's too long. As you said, there's early voting. The lines aren't as long during early voting. There's also, and I'm going to tell you a trick that I found out. Now I vote in D.C., but I believe it's like this anywhere. Take a senior citizen to the poll.
Mm-hmm.
They allow the senior citizen and you as their escort to go to the front of the line.
They do.
And what you do is you take that senior citizen and you go and you vote and y'all get out of there. But you voted and you've also helped the community. See, we got to really think about the fact that if I can't drive anybody, can I pay for somebody to be Ubered? You know, can I get some Uber credits to send somebody to the poll? Are there businesses, are there fraternity brothers out here, are there churches that are willing to buy an Uber or a Lyft to get somebody to the poll? So, you know, yeah, I don't have time to take you to the poll, but I got the means and resources. And that's the thing we got to stop making excuses saying, I can't do this. What can you do to make a difference? And we need to make sure that folk get out to the poll. Because the one thing that is taken for granted is people say, oh, we're going to always vote Democrat. No, that's not what they really take for granted. They take for granted that we're not going to show up at the poll. And we see historically the difference that it makes when our community shows up at the poll. And this is one time that is more important than ever. Now, say this 2 years from now, too. It's going to be even more important than that then. But we have to show up at the polls. If we really are serious about making a difference in the community, instead of just accepting what we're given, we have to show up at the polls. We got to be represented. We got to be counted. As Brother Charles said, it doesn't matter who you vote for, but the fact that folk know you vote means that they're counting on you, that you're being considered, that people are going to send you information, that they're going to start trying to appease the needs of a voter. Mm-hmm. And so you got to stand out and be represented, or nobody's even going to think of you as someone to be a decision maker.
Right. You know, in my district, we have over 100,000 registered voters, 100,000 folks, not registered voters, 100,000 people, but only 10,000 people show up to vote. 10,000. Now that is sad. That is sad. That only 10,000. It's a tough uphill battle for Ben Jealous. He's our Kappa brother, who's running for governor in the state of Maryland. It's an uphill battle for him. He's running, in the state of Maryland, it's a 2-to-1 for Democrats to Republicans. But he's polling way behind Governor Hogan right now. And you can change that.
Right.
You can change it. We got almost 1 million people in Prince George's County alone. You can change it if you get real participation. But I don't think folks understand the urgency of why they need to move forward in an expeditious fashion to make sure.
So you just said something interesting. So it's about 10% of the individuals who are eligible to vote are actually registered.
Are actually voting.
Right. So that means just a little bit more than 5% can make the decision for the whole county.
For the whole state.
For the whole state. So we
like
really got to
20%.
think about. We really got to think about that, and how you say, does my one vote count? But
it counts.
if 5% can make a decision, just think if all the Omega men And we're challenging the Kappas and the Alphas and the Sigmas, and we're challenging the Divine Nine to come out and make a difference.
Exactly, and that's what we got to do. We have to.
You know, I was at a election event in the 6th district just yesterday, and they explained the breakout about every vote counts. I mean, these elections are decided by less than 100 votes, and so it's imperative that our community get out. We can be the X factor. Being from North Carolina, we don't want you to be scared and listen to the rhetoric. We need you to get your family, first off your family, go to your churches, go to your extracurricular activities, and communicate, get them voted to the polls. We need this vote. This is a crucial election, and this has been a great conversation. I wanted to see whether we can give you one more bit of information here, what Omega is doing. Now, our ladies did a nice job in Alabama, getting that state mobilized. You saw what they can do. The men here in the 2nd district is stepping up, and we want you. We want you to help us and join us. We have 14 days prior to November the 6th, Election Day. You heard my brother Charles talking about the importance of absentee ballots. Friends, family, make sure every member of your circle of influence vote. No excuses. Every vote counts. For Omega, I recently saw the Black Panther, and they had so many quotes there. The two of my favorite ones: "A man that has not prepared his children for his own death has failed as a father." And then the second thing is "in plain sight." Well, my family, we have, let me just put a spin on that. A community that has not prepared his children has failed the community. And then we got gifted, talented young folks, first generation college students. They hear in plain sight. This election really is about them. Our mega focus is to increase involvement in election. We need to take our young people to the polls, take our males to the polls, our nephews, our neighbors' sons, and have them there, watch us vote so that we can teach them civic responsibility. And then this social media is so huge. Let's tell our stories. Take a picture at the polls and make this opportunity fun by mobilizing your family and your community. Take a picture, post it on social media. And speaking of posting on social media, you can go to www.oppf.org/fatherhood. This is a teachable moment. This is a crucial election, and this has been a great conversation. This is Donald Williams II, Q's on the Move. Join us next Tuesday at 8:30.